For TPD's new recruits can hit the streets. They have to go through intense firearms training. Cadets spend 16 days and more than 90 hours at the gun range learning about their weapons. 13 Action News reporter Alexis Means is live to take us inside the training tonight. Alexis.
Well, there are 34 cadets in training, and many of them have never held a gun.
So got the gun. Hey, drop the gun. Drop the gun.
It's intense calls like these that TPD's new police recruits could face on the streets one day.
These are the consequences that come along with it, and these are the real-life things that have actually happened, and they get an opportunity to learn from the experiences of prior officers.
This week, the cadets are learning gun safety, trigger control, stance, and grip.
Most of them have never handled a firearm, and so when they come out here on their first day, we have a whole range of backgrounds, former military, people that grew up around firearms, and then people who are terrified because they've never handled a gun.
Toledo Police Sergeant Corey Russell is teaching them more than just hitting a paper target. He's putting them through intense training.
As they begin to master the shooting, we begin to add stress, and we add stress by compressing time. So we ask them to shoot within a time window, and as they become proficient with that, we compress that time window, and then we ask them to do additional things, like, for example, do a magazine change, shoot multiple targets, move to cover while shooting accurately.
He's also preparing them to survive deadly force encounters. Cadet Eric Hagan is working to improve his speed.
Well, if you're not fast enough, then you're probably not making it home.
It won't be long before Hagan and his classmates hit the streets. They'll be expected to handle their firearms safely and accurately in all types of situations.
So every time they press the trigger, you're not retrieving that bullet. So you have to be absolutely certain of your threat and what is beyond that threat. And just because there's a threat there doesn't mean that you're cleared to use your firearm.
And the cadets, they will graduate in November. Christian, back to you.